Hello and welcome to James Hill Sports. I am he. We are joined by a special gentleman. When you think about college football and HBCU football, look no further than the highest of seven hills, Florida A&M University, home of the Rattlers. Coach Willie Simmons. Coach, I hope you and the family and the Famu and everybody in Tallahassee are well. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, James. It's a great time to be here in the capital city. A lot of great things happening, and hey, it's Classic Week, so what more can I say?
Now, your last contest, take us back to that particular game, and you guys dominate, so to speak, 28-0, the final there. And when you think about that particular contest, what are your takeaways?
Well, obviously, you had a team coming in, Lincoln University out of Oakland, California, who was winless, Division II opponent, only the third year playing football. And so we, knew that we wanted to rest some guys. We wanted to make sure that we can come into this week's game relatively healthy. So we rested Jeremy Musa, Marcus Riley, Kareem Burke, Anthony Dunn, General Hunt, a lot of guys who had some nicks and bruises. We sat them the entire game, and then a lot of other guys we only played for a limited amount of time. But again, was happy to come away with the win. Obviously, people take for granted sometimes how hard winning is. It's about that time of year where coaches are starting to get relieved of their duties for lack of winning, and so we're very, very thankful to be able to have a 9-1 record right now. And so exciting day, senior day. We got to send a lot of great guys out of the program, at least their last regular season home game. And just again what they built this program into. So it was great, great atmosphere for last home game the week before the Classic. Had a lot of recruits on campus, but more than anything else, gave a lot of young guys a chance to get some good experience, some reps. Junior Muratovic was able to play the entire game, and he learned a lot. And so we pitched a shutout. Didn't have the prolific offensive night that we maybe would have liked, but did enough to win the game, obviously, and to send this senior class out with a shutout in the last regular season game is a huge accomplishment. So all in all, great weekend. Came out of it relatively healthy, and now it's all attention to the Florida Classic this weekend.
Coach, rivalry games are special, and when you think about FAMU and Bethune, you can look all the way back to 1925. And the Florida Classic is so special, as you can see, the football that commemorates this tradition. But talk a little bit about this particular rivalry game, why it's unique, why it's such a big deal, why it's so important, and people look forward to it every year.
Well, it's a huge game for many reasons. One, we're the only two Division I HBCUs in the state of Florida playing HBCUs in the state of Florida. And so when you look at the makeup of this state, chances are if you attended an HBCU, it was either FAMU or the little school down the road in Daytona. And so just that, that long-standing, you gotta be careful with your word. I don't want to use hate or disdain, but just the back and forth amongst the two schools, because you're very likely to be married to one who went to the other university, or church members, or co-workers, next door neighbors, you name it. There's a good chance that you're very close to someone, who attended one of these institutions. And so just the back and forth banter, it's always played the week before Thanksgiving, or has been, over the last 20 plus years. And so a lot of trash talking goes on around Thanksgiving time, but just two institutions who committed to academic excellence, committed to changing the socioeconomic backgrounds of all of our students. And we get bragging rights. A few times out of the year, we get bragging rights as to which program is better. And other sports get to do it multiple times. Basketball, they'll play twice. Softball, all those other sports. Football is one and done. You got one opportunity to do it, and then you got 364 days to sit on it before you have to do it again. So we like this feeling of being able to come in saying, hey, we're riding a 2-game winning streak, and we want to definitely extend that to a third.
Coach, this particular rivalry has been played in places like Tampa, Florida, places like Doak, places like the Speedway in Daytona, and also obviously Orlando. But take us into this particular game, and obviously Camping World The old Citrus Bowl, if you will, is a special site and it's centrally located. Everyone can come in from the Panhandle to the Keys to, parts of the Miami area, South Florida, Duval in the house. Everybody can come out and really enjoy themselves. Take us into the Florida Classic.
Yeah, I mean, them moving the game to Orlando some years back was an amazing move, in my opinion. Like you said, centrally located. You draw fans from all over the state of Florida, to attend the game. You're in Orlando, um, early mid-November, so the weather's still really good there. You have all the theme parks there. It's just a lot going on, and obviously it's one of the biggest rivalry games out there, and it's going to be heavily attended every year. You're talking about 50,000 plus fans every year, and that's just inside the stadium. You're not even talking about the ones outside the stadium enjoying the tailgating, and so it's a huge event, nationally televised. Oftentimes the ramifications, postseason ramifications surrounding the game. It's not the case this year, but I still don't think I don't think it diminishes the impact that this game will have on either of our respective programs moving forward. Obviously they're newer staff, just got there this year. This is their first year. We've been here now. We're seasoned staff. But we want to carry some momentum going into the Swac championship game in 2 weeks, and obviously they want to end their season on a high note. They have not performed as well on the field as maybe they would have liked. But what better way for them to carry some momentum into the offseason by knocking off the number one ranked football team in HBCU, which happens to be the in-state rival. So we know they'll come in motivated. We've seen multiple times throughout this year in this conference, you can throw records out the window, you can throw standings out the window, rankings, all those things, because there've been a lot of upsets, even some on homecoming. And we want to make sure that we're not the latest in a long line of teams that that got upset this year in this conference.
Coach, the city of Tallahassee right now has two of the best college football teams in America. Your ball club and HBCU, and obviously over at Doak, FSU is doing big things these days. Top 4 ranked team, and obviously their rivalry with the U, Miami, as seen yesterday, and that's special. But just talk a little bit about how teams play hard during rivalry games and what you can expect when you see Bethune and also Famu playing on the gridiron in Orlando this week.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I talked to the team earlier. Rivalries are a part of sports. Whether you're talking about high school, collegiately, as well as professionally, we all know those hardcore, deep-rooted rivalries are about. High school, again, Coach Carter, my receivers coach, we played at rival high schools. And so 25 years later, we still talk about that game in 1998 because of the rivalry. At Clemson, South Carolina, that deep-rooted rivalry that exists. And then you just go throughout college football, you go throughout sports in general, you have these type of games. And this one's no different. Well, it's different in the aspect that it's very unique in the fact that the two schools share the game. We own the game. We own the HBCU that owns the rights to our game. But again, it is a deep-rooted rivalry that has gone on for a very, very long time and will continue to go on. I think is a reason why when we made the jump to the SWAC, they followed right behind us. We wanted to make sure we keep those close ties together, again, being the only two Division I HBCUs in this great state of Florida. And so it's just so much that's behind the game. And like I said, you can throw records out the window. I mean, Florida State was ranked top 4. Miami was kind of struggling this year, backup quarterback. And hey, 7-point game, so every year we've been favored in the game, and the first 2 years we dropped it. So again, you definitely have to remember those things and prepare our team to go in and play its best football come Saturday afternoon, because again, our top 10 ranking means nothing come this weekend. Us clinching the East and hosting the SWAC championship game, in 2 weeks means nothing, this weekend. Their record versus our record, none of those things matter. It's the team that's able to prepare the best, that's able to put the things they've worked on during the week on the field, that protects the ball, that plays smart football, that gives themselves the best chance to win. And it's our goal, our charge as coaches and players this week to do those things and again, give ourselves the best chance to walk out of Campbell World Stadium with another huge win, another win in that great rivalry, and bringing that Florida Florida Classic trophy back to Tallahassee, where it rightfully belongs.
Coach, rivalries, Lakers, Celtics. You look at Ali and Frazier. You look at Yankees, Red Sox. How special is it? And just talk a little bit about the respect and the admiration and just the collective effort for two entities on two different sides who clash, and it's a beautiful thing. Just the competition.
Yeah, it is a beautiful thing. Obviously the competition on the field is fierce. But we compete off the field. The bands, that's another key element to the rivalry. The halftime show is going to be epic. That's one of the downsides about being the head coach. You don't get to witness that halftime show firsthand. So hopefully we're up and up big. Maybe I can sneak out a little bit early to catch, the last half of it. 100 with a home team this year, so the 100 gets to take the field last. That's always a benefit, But again, just the importance of what these two great institutions stand for, and how it's changed lives here in this great state and beyond. But the vast majority of our students are from Florida, obviously, both schools, and just the commitment to excellence across the board. You look at our alumni bases, it's some of the best out there, and so we're a public school, they're private, we're a lot bigger than them. But again, it is a fierce, intense rivalry, and there's a lot of trash talking. You go to the luncheon, the presidents go at it, the athletic directors go at it, and then they'll bring the football coaches up to see if there's any more punches to be thrown, figuratively. But it's all in fun, it's all in love. There's a mutual respect there. I befriended coaches through the rivalry. Coach Sims and I, we go way back, and so going toe to toe with him in the rivalry for 4 years was a great experience for me, and I have the utmost respect for Coach Woody, and we'll hopefully welcome him to the Classic the way I was broken into it, and that's with an L. My first experience at the Classic was with the loss, and we want to bring him in the same way, but. It's a great rivalry, and I truly believe it's one of the best in all of college football, regardless of level.
Coach, the Florida Classic, does it have the bowl game type feel, or can you just speak to that week of preparation, and just take us into like the process as far as, is it a different week or is it the same type of experience in terms of going through the week? Or is it different? Is it like a bowl game feel, or what's the thought process going into a game like this?
Well, it's not so much a bowl game feel. We'll go in Thursday night, simply because we have the luncheon on Friday midday, and so first 2 years we left crack of dawn on Friday to keep our Thursday routine kind of what it had always been. And we got there right as the luncheon started, and it just kind of felt rushed the entire time that first couple of years. So the third year, we made a decision to come down that Thursday evening. We get there pretty late, but it's enough time for the guys to get in and get rested and give us a chance to kind of wake up and do a couple of meetings and then load the buses and head to the luncheon, and we don't feel as rushed. And so that's the only real change. Everything else, we treat the week exactly the same. I think you have to be careful about not hyping a game up too much, even though it's a Classic, even though it's our in-state rival. You want to function by the same routine that's gotten you here. We won 8 straight games, 9 this season, and it's because of our routine. It's because of the guys believing in what we do. And so we don't want to change that just because of the magnitude of the game. I think guys get a little anxious, a little nervous, and start pressing maybe and lose focus when you take them out of their normal routine. So we'll keep it as close to normal as possible, not treating it like a bowl, not treating it like anything other than the next game up. It just happens to be our rival, happens to be at a neutral site venue. It's going to be the biggest crowd we've seen all season, and it should be a great atmosphere, But again, definitely don't want the guys to let the moment get bigger than us. Let's stay within ourselves. Let's do what's gotten us to this place to be top 10 in the country, the top rated team in the Swac, and just do it for 60 more minutes. And the goal is always to be 1-0 after this weekend. And that's all we can focus on. And I think if we keep the main thing, we'll be just fine to get the outcome that we all desire.
Coach, there's other games on the horizon, whether it be a SWAC championship and even visions of ATL and obviously the Celebration Bowl. But talk a little bit about just staying focused on the moment, staying focused on the Florida Classic, and just locking into the game that's in front of you.
Yeah, we've talked really since I've been here, but this year as well, about being where our feet are. That's a term that we use often, and it just speaks to staying in the moment. And we're going to enjoy this moment that we're in. We don't want to look too far down the road and really lose sight or miss out on the blessings that we have right here in front of us. We have a chance to play another football game. For these guys that we're playing this weekend, this is their last one this season. For many of the teams across the country, this is their last football game. Because of the position we placed ourselves in, we're guaranteed at least one more. Obviously we want to play 2 more after this, but we're guaranteed at least one more. And so we want to make sure we enjoy it. We want to make sure we live in this moment and we focus on the task at hand. Looking down the road to the SWAC championship game really does nothing to help us this weekend. Looking possibly at the Celebration Bowl does absolutely nothing to help us this weekend. And all it can do is hurt us. It can hurt our focus on the team that we're about to play. And as crazy as it sounds, there are a large contingency of Rattlers who would much rather win this game and lose the following week in the SWAC championship than the other way around. Coming to the game under 500 and find a way to win it, as opposed to being over 500 or 10-1, 9-0, whatever what the case may be, and losing the game. The rivalry is that intense, and so we know how important the game is on many levels, and so we want to focus on this game. And once we finish this game, the reality of it is we have 2 weeks to worry about the SWAC championship. Theoretically, it may not even be decided by who we'll play by this weekend. There's a lot going on the West right now. There's some questions about who can come out of it. There are a lot of different scenarios as to which team can come out of the West. And so why worry about something that we don't even know? We don't even know who our opponent will be. So our sole focus this week will be those guys down south, and we'll keep it that way. And once the game is over, about 6:30 on Saturday afternoon, we'll start our 24-hour process. We may extend it a little bit because we don't have a game coming up that following week. We may extend it the 48 hours. But once we get back in the lab, then we'll focus on whatever the situation dictates, if we know who we're playing or not. But definitely want to, again, keep the main thing. The main thing this week, the only thing this week is the Florida Classic against our in-state rival down at Campbell World Stadium, where we need to go in and play a really good football game and continue the momentum that we've had, this whole season.
Coach, when you look at some of the biggest games in Black college football and biggest rivalries, and you look at the Florida Classic, you look at down in New Orleans, and you see the Bayou, and you can even look at the Magic City in Alabama. How special and how big are these particular games? And when you think about the Florida Classic, how does it fit as one of the best in the country?
Well, obviously, I'm biased growing up here and experiencing the Florida Classic myself as a youth. I think it's the biggest one out there. It may not be the most heavily attended one, but anyone who's been to the Florida Classic, who's experienced it, I think it's one of many, but I think it stands alone. I've heard some great things about the Bayou Classic. Obviously, the Magic City Classic, I've been a part of the Soul Bowl with Alcorn, Jackson State. The State Fair Classic, I've been a part of. And the Orange Blossom Classic, which has become a pretty big game. But I don't think any of them rival the Florida Classic. Just the pageantry, the week of events, the Battle of the Bands, the football game, the halftime show, the tailgating. And again, I think the fact that we own the game to where we can dictate kind of what happens to 2 schools, I think that's what sets it apart. But again, it's a great tradition. Rivalry games, classic games are a staple in Black college athletics, particularly in football. And I think they're here to stay. You know, a lot of our alumni bases have moved on to bigger cities, and we have a chance to bring a game to those big venues, playing NFL stadiums on national television. I think it does a lot for helping our respective brands and our respective programs. And so I'm thankful that the Florida Classic is in existence. I think it'll be around for a very long time. There are other venues who are lobbying to get us there. I'm not sure what that'll look like in the future, but Orlando, Florida is a staple, and the game against those guys down the road is a staple as well, and it's always going to be here. And looking forward to it. But again, I think it's the biggest one out there. And again, I know I'm biased, but I stand on that one.
Coach, take us back to your earliest memories and earliest impressions of the Florida Classic. I know you've experienced it from a coaching standpoint, and watching it over the years as a youth and seeing it as part of just a citizen. But take us all the way back to your earliest memories, if you will.
Yeah, growing up, my aunt, my oldest aunt, my mom was the oldest, and her sister still lives in Orlando. And for me, growing up in small town Quincy, that was kind of my vacation, was going down to Orlando in summers. And then, you know, the weekend of the Classic. Oftentimes back then it was doing Thanksgiving weekend. And so we would, you know, maybe spend some Thanksgivings down there and go down to see my cousins and be able to experience the game, you know, or see it on television. So just, you know, knowing about the game because of my god brother playing here and guys that, you know, played at Shanks High School growing up that I looked up to, who played at FAM. It's just a game that's always been circled on everyone's calendar. Everyone knows my entire family are Rattlers, and everyone, you know, pretty much went to school here. So it's a game that whether you're a football enthusiast or not, it's a game that everyone is excited about because of the bragging rights. And so I just remember always looking forward to the game. I don't ever remember seeing another game on Thanksgiving weekend other than this one. You know, then there'll be some NFL games obviously that my people will watch. But if I wasn't at the game, we were trying to find a way to watch it, listen to it on the radio, whatever we could do to experience the Florida Classic. And that just shows how big the game is. And now as a head coach, I'm blessed and honored to be able to extend that same experience to my family, extended family as well.
Coach, the pantheon of coaches, whether it be a Jake Gaither or a Billy Joe or a Ken Riley, or the list goes on, Coach Hub, yourself, all of you gentlemen have been successful, Coach Taylor, in the Classic, and just speak to that legacy. And again, every time you roll into FAMU, you can't help but see that big structure and that memorial. And you know, when you see the statue of Coach, it's special, and it's very very historic.
Well, no question about it. Again, I don't even consider myself on the pantheon. Yeah, I think if you're looking at Mount Rushmore, typically you only get 4. And so obviously Jake sits alone on there. Rudy Hubbard, obviously because of, you know, what he was able to do, winning the school's first and only national championship at the FCS level, Division I AA level, and being the only Hbcu to ever do that. Going undefeated, beating the University of Miami, you know, all the things that he was able to do as a coach. You know, Ken Riley. I mean, how can you leave out Ken, what he's able to do? And then Billy Joe, you know, bringing the era of the Gulf Coast offense here. So those guys accomplished so much. Their success in the Florida Classic, again, is unprecedented. Right now, 500, and that's just reality. You know, dropped the first 2, and have been blessed enough to win the last 2. And so definitely got to get on the other side of 500 to even be considered in the same breath as those guys. You know, so again, it's something that I understand all too well, and our team knows about that and understands it. And you know, we know we have a lot of work to do. So I don't. Again, I take it as it's an honor, but I cringe every time I hear my name mentioned with Jake Gaithers, just because again, it's not fair to him, to his legacy. I'm only six years into this thing here at FAMU, 5 seasons in, and Jake roamed these sidelines for 25 years. And so I'm only a fifth of the way to what he was able to do. and the amount of championships, NFL players, Hall of Famers. He's got 2 now. I got 3 guys in the NFL total. He's got 2 Hall of Famers, and so got a long way to go to catch up to old Jake the Snake. But just still taking it day by day, enjoying the ride, and just grateful to be able to even be in a situation where you can be mentioned with those historic figures in this profession and at this university. But the Florida Classic is definitely something you'll be judged by. Make no mistake about it. As a player, as a coach, your legacy will be judged by how you perform in the Florida Classic. And so I got to make sure that Rattler Nation stays in love with me and take care of business this coming weekend.
Coach, #1 ranking. Your team is ranked #1. Talk a little bit about that, what that means to you guys, and how special that is in the HBCU landscape, the MEAC and the Swac, and even a Tennessee State or Hampton. But for that matter, you guys are ranked #1, and it's got to be a beautiful thing.
Well, it'll be a beautiful thing. We're ranked #1 at the end, and that's what matters, So not really concerned with where we're ranked right now. We've been ranked #1 going into this game in the past, and then take care of business. And so, like I tell the guys, can't read the press clippings, can't rest on our laurels, can't relax, pat ourselves on the back. There's still a lot of work to be done. We've accomplished some goals, but there's still other goals that are out there for us to accomplish. And one of those goals is to win all of our rivalry games, to beat all of our natural rivals, and that's Jackson State. We took care of that one. That's Alabama State because of proximity. We took care of that one. That's Southern as the only crossover game in the conference. That's not an interstate rival, and it's this weekend. So with three out of the 4 we checked off. Got 1 more left. And so again, we definitely want to make sure we check all the boxes. Again, going to the Swac championship with all the momentum, and just continue to play really good football. But again, you definitely can't look around and stop focusing. Try to use the Bible analogy. About walking on the water. If you keep your eyes set on the prize, you can accomplish amazing things. The moment you start looking around at everything that's going on around you, other than the main thing, you start to sink. We want to make sure we don't sink as a football team. That we stay walking that rare air that not many people get to reach, and finish this thing off the right way.
Well, folks, there you have it from the coach. He is Willie Simmons on the highest of 7 hills. You can watch his team play football, the Rattlers, as they play Bethune-Cookman University in the Florida Blue Florida Classic. That game will be played on Saturday in Orlando. I'm James Hill. You're watching James Hill Sports, and we will be right back.